าธารณรัฐมอริเชียสประเทศที่เป็นเกาะในมหาสมุทรอินเดียนอกชายฝั่งทวีปแอฟริกาทางตะวันออกเฉียงเหนือคือหนึ่งในไม่กี่ประเทศในโลกที่มีผู้นำเป็นผู้หญิงอามินากูริบฟาคีมประธานาธิบดีมอริเชียสรับตำแหน่งประมุขของประเทศหลังจากที่ได้รับการลงมติจากสภาแห่งชาติอย่างเป็นเอกฉันท์ประธานาธิบดีอามินารับหน้าที่ผู้นำและผู้บัญชาการสูงสุดของมอริเชียสเมื่อวันที่ 5 มิถุนายนที่ผ่านมาก่อนที่จะได้รับความไว้วางใจจากประชาชนมอริเชียสผ่านการเลือกตั้งและได้ขึ้นเป็นประธานาธิบดีอามินากูริบฟาคีมคือนักวิทยาศาสตร์ผู้หญิงที่ได้รับการยอมรับอย่างสูงในสาขาเคมีอินทรีย์โดยทำงานวิจัยเกี่ยวกับต้นไม้และสารอาหารที่เป็นประโยชน์จากพืชท้องถิ่นของมอริเชียสปี 2550 อามินากูริบฟาคีมเป็นนักวิทยาศาสตร์ที่ได้รับรางวัลโครงการทุนวิจัย L'Oreal UNESCO เพื่อสตรีในงานวิทยาศาสตร์ระดับสากลตัวแทนทวีปแอฟริกาการประยุกต์ใช้ความรู้ด้านวิทยาศาสตร์เทคโนโลยีและนวัตกรรมเป็นหนึ่งในเป้าหมายที่ประธานาธิบดีหญิงท่านนี้มุ่งมั่นว่าจะต้องพัฒนาความอยู่ดีกินดีของคนมอริเชียสที่มีอยู่กว่า 1,200,000 คนและเชื่อมั่นว่าความเป็นผู้นำหญิงที่เป็นนักวิทยาศาสตร์จะสร้างความเปลี่ยนแปลงได้
คุณผู้ชมคะสำหรับความเป็นผู้นำหญิงในประเทศต่างๆในโลกมีไม่มากนะคะและยิ่งสำหรับผู้นำหญิงที่ผ่านการเลือกตั้งและได้รับความไว้วางใจจากประชาชนให้เป็นประธานาธิบดียิ่งมีความท้าทายที่ต้องเผชิญและถ้ายิ่งเป็นประธานาธิบดีผู้หญิงที่เป็นนักวิทยาศาสตร์ชั้นนำจะมีแนวทางในการทำงานอย่างไรนะคะคืนนี้ตอบโจทย์ดิฉันคุยกับประธานาธิบดีสาธารณรัฐมอริเชียสค่ะ President Amina Thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you very much for having me on your show. Thank you.
It's been 5 months now that you have taken your role as the president.
Yes.
How has your life changed from being a scientist to be a president?
Well, as you say, being a scientist and being a president, they are two completely different environments. My life has changed completely. First of all, because I'm no longer in the lab. So this is a passion which I have to kind of close for the time being. But more importantly, it has given me opportunity to serve my country at another level, at the highest level as per the Constitution. And so I'm more focused now in making things happen on the ground, which as a scientist I was limited because you don't have this leverage when you are a scientist as much as when you are in this position. And I'm determined to see to it that science, technology, innovation becomes second culture because that's my background and I'm confident and I know that it's the only way for wealth creation and for creation of opportunities for our youth.
How do you apply your knowledge in science and to be using in the president? How is it similar or how's the difference between two roles?
You know, when you're a scientist, you are trained to be Cartesian. You are being trained to take decision, whatever decision, whether it's good, whether it's bad, but you still have to take decision, and you can be proactive, and all these qualities are very important in a presidential role. You need to be able to take decision. You need to be able to influence decision, and you need to be proactive as well, anticipate, because when you are at that position, you have to anticipate what's going on. So if I take this notion of anticipation for my country, I note that we are at a juncture economically, and we need to focus on new areas, new pillars for the economy to fire, and one of the pillar is the science, technology, innovation pillar, which when done properly, it can become a game changer for creation of opportunities, creation of facilities, creation of wealth as well, because countries that have invested and developed science, technology, innovation, they are countries that have made it, and one of the neighbor of Thailand, of course, is Singapore, which is well known for having mainstream science, technology, innovation in all spheres of development.
Normally, when you are commander in the laboratory, how many scientists that you have to be in charge of? And how is that different from being the president because you have to be in command in the parliament or talking to other politicians?
Again, as I say, when you are in the lab, it's on a very small scale and you're very focused on one area, which is the sciences as we do it. And the science I chose to do was also multidisciplinary because herbal medicine touched on many areas, chemistry, pharmacology, it cuts across all these areas. Now, if you transpose this small microcosm onto the world of politics, you are dealing with the same thing. You're dealing with many ministries, you're dealing with many ministers, and it's the language of, I think, of sincerity that you have to bring into the fold, that you mean business, and that you're determined to get results. And my mandate, I have already set myself the objective that we are going to be generating results, and results have to be measured on the ground, results have to be measured by the people, because at the end of the day, they will vote according to what you have produced in terms of output for 5 years.
If you compare which one is more difficult between being a scientist and being a politician?
It's a different role. They are completely different. But as I said, the training I've had so far as a scientist is greatly helping me in making sure that decisions are taken and actions are initiated as well. Because, as I said, you have to be proactive and anticipate things, and it can happen because you have sufficient leverage, leeway in the position of the president to make things happen. And I think it is only fair that you have been given this responsibility by the people, you have been entrusted with this position. So we have to ensure that we are driven by the need to get results for the people.
And to be even more exact, which one is more difficult because you are leading women in two roles, in science and in politics, which is rare for women to be taking leadership in these two fields.
Yes.
Which one is more difficult, being female scientist and being female president?
I think you can combine the two together. Having a female scientist as a president, I think it gives a lot of food for thought for the younger generation. Because at the end of the day, for me, what does it matter? It may not matter a great deal for me personally. But what it matters more is for that girl growing out there knowing that it is possible. It's possible to do it being a scientist, it's possible to be a president. And in fact, I'll just tell you a small story. I was one day visiting a school where there were girls between the age of 11 and 13. And I was talking to them and I said to them, what job one day you'll want to do? And one little girl just came up to me, she held me and she said, I want to become a president.
That sounds very inspiring.
Exactly.
So she has you as a role model.
So it's very important for that role model, and increasingly we need to have many more role models in all walks of life so that these girls out there know that they can aspire to something.
And what's your reaction to her when she told you that she wants to be president one day?
I said you should. You should believe that you can do it. And also this is another area where women tend to be weak. They don't have the self-confidence, even though they are very capable, but they don't have the self-confidence to take it further. And they also don't have very often the notion that you have to take risk. Because when I said yes to the political party last year, I took a big risk for whatever I was doing. But I still felt that if you want to serve, if you want to do something different, you have to take risk. And if you are an entrepreneur, you have to take risk. So in anything we do, we have to learn to interiorize the fact that we'll have to take risk.
Were you hesitant that you want to hold back, do not want to take risk as the president? Or what pushed you to go forward?
When I left my comfort zone of a post in university, I was the Deputy Vice Chancellor of the university. When I decided to leave to start my business, I had already started taking risk. Because it's not easy to leave a comfort zone where you have your paid salary and everything else and then go out there and say, you know, now I'm going to be my own boss. It's not easy. So learning to take a risk from that moment on, it was easier afterward to come and say, yes, I will try it. Why not?
You are pleased with what you have made decisions since then, never look back?
No, I never look back. Once I take a step forward, I move ahead with whatever choice I've made. And as I said, it could be bad, it could be good choices with bad choices, but you have to make choices. And life is full of choices you have to make. And so I don't look back. And right now I feel that at the level of the presidency, we are at the cusp of making some differences because I have taken a few initiatives that bodes well for the country, it bodes well for the continent, Africa, and it bodes well for the girls. So they have a role model to look up to, and through this presidency, as I'm a scientist, I'm result driven, so I'm going to make sure that we have results on the ground.
Now do you see yourself as the top ambassador on diplomatic mission for the whole world to know more about Republic of Mauritius? Do you see your role as top ambassador of the country too?
Absolutely, absolutely. And this is where the challenge comes in because you are in a position which is highly visible, and as a woman you are there as well, so you have the double responsibility of not only being the role model but of getting it right as well. So becoming an ambassador is a huge responsibility because you're representing the entire nation and the entire region as well. So it's a very challenging position to be in, yes.
How do you gain support from people around you working together with men who are in lower rank from you? How do you gain support?
Gaining support for me has not really been an issue because when you are trained as a scientist, when you are in that position, you don't get much support from men. Because you're competing for the same post, and so there is a lot of tendency to get you out of the way. But what I felt all the time was to focus on the quality of your results, the quality of your product, and once you start getting this accolade from your peers in terms of the quality of your output, then the credibility you put into the job, into the post, this credibility earns you respect, and that's more important. So then people respect you for what you'll be saying, for what you do, because they know that behind you, you have a track record. So I have been very keen on working on my track record more than threats or anything else.
Up until now, what do you consider as your major achievement?
As scientist or as politician, as a president?
Both.
As a scientist, I started working in a field that was not perceived to be serious, herbal medicine. It was non-existent when I started. So I feel very happy that I have been able to bring back a chapter into my country's history by bringing to the fold this, and by documenting, by publishing. Now I have created an enterprise as well, which is a legacy for the people. So it's a place where they can find opportunity either to find a job, or they can also find a space to improve their CV. As a president, I feel that I have, by being there, I am acting as a real role model for the girls to say that it is possible. And through my actions at the level of the presidency, I still got 4.5 years to go, as you know, I will be result driven, and I will see to it that institutions adhere to good practices, to the best practices, so that we inspire trust in our institution. Because having trust in institution is critical for the running of any country, be it Thailand, be it Mauritius. People have to believe that institutions are credible and they can be trusted. And of course, who believes in institution also believe in the people leading the institution. So they have to trust the people who lead them.
What do you see as the most important capacity to build up trust for political institutions, because it's becoming crisis in many countries that people have lose faith in politicians?
I think one of the areas that we have to really work on is the degree of sincerity. If you say something, you have to deliver on it. Otherwise, it becomes an empty promise. And if you keep on making empty promises, people will lose faith in you. But if you come up with few promises, but you deliver in terms of whatever you've engaged yourself to do, people will respect you because of that. So people want to see results on the ground. People want to see their lives change for the better. And this is one of the reasons why they voted in the first place. So you can't cheat their votes. So you have to deliver on promises.
For the country, for Mauritius, what do you like to do more in your role as the president?
I would like to see a more diversified economy, because we have come to a position now where we have become victim of our own success. Mauritius started as a very poor country with sugar as being the major earner, and over the years we have diversified. We have diversified so much that the per capita income has improved dramatically, almost $10,000 per year. But you can't stick on your laurels. You have to keep on moving. You have to keep on diversifying. And this diversification is what will provide opportunities for young people. So my ambition would be to diversify through high quality product, biotechnology, for example, and new technologies through ICT, and all these areas should be providers of opportunity for our youth. Capacity building is key, and next week I shall be launching an initiative where we will build capacity at PhD level for Africans, and capacity building, quality education has to be flagged in all the time. And when people are well qualified, when people are well trained, they will be nimble-footed to take decision and move according to where the challenges are, where the opportunities are. So you need to flag all the time quality education.
Your main focus is also in sustainable development. For a country to go towards sustainable development, what kind of people or what's the direction that the country should take to adopt this mission?
We are an island state, and we are going to be confronted, we are already, if not, by the challenges of climate change, for example. We will see, for example, increase in the sea level. We will have to find new varieties of seeds that will resist the increase in temperature. We'll have to, for example, focus a lot more on atmospheric data and on all these. So all these, to me, whilst they are challenges, they could be converted into opportunities. Opportunities for research, opportunities for collaboration, for partnership, you name it. So all these challenges should be able to be converted into opportunities, and of course work along this line, and of course all these will lead to what we increasingly refer to as sustainable development.
What do you like the whole world to know more about capacity of Mauritius?
Already we have some good indicators for Mauritius. If you look at the African continent, we are number 1 for doing business. We are number 49 for innovation globally. We are also number 1 in terms of governance, the Mo Ibrahim Index. So we have quite a few of these indicators which work for us. But we should not sit on our laurels. We should keep on improving all indicators and ensure that Mauritius, by virtue of her strategic positioning, becomes a real gateway for the East to go into Africa and to the rest of the world. So my priority would be to keep on developing strong institutions, because countries need strong institutions to be able to operate, and it is through strong institution where there is also a country where there is a rule of law that this country will emerge through the top level.
By strong institution, what do you mean by that in terms of?
Strong, credible institution that is respected worldwide. If you have, for example, credible data, people will cite your data as being a credible source of information. So this is what I mean by credibility. When you have the respect of people and of other institutions who say, yes, this data we can cite, they come from this institution, the people coming out of this are credible people. So this is what I mean by strong institution. And the institution which stays beyond change of government. They have to keep on performing independently. They need to have the moral authority to challenge the status quo, and that's what I call strong institutions.
You talk about the contribution of science to countries' development in the beginning, and Singapore is one of the main examples that you see that is becoming very successful. Does it mean that science is really important for a country to be developed?
I will give you an example. 50 years ago, Korea just came out of the Korean War, South Korea. Its per capita income at the time was comparable to an African country. 50 years later, that African country, the per capita is still stagnant, and we've seen the progress that South Korea has made. It has turned itself into a giant. And if you look at the per capita income, it is $40,000 at least for per person. So what has been the magic that has helped Korea emerge? Korea doesn't have much in terms of resources. It has got its human capital, And successive governments in Korea have focused on the human capital, developing the human capital through access to education, access to health, and then secondary education, tertiary education, and then came the time when the intellectual property was present as well, so that the Korean products, be it Samsung, be it LG, being everything else, could emerge from there with strong IP. And it's the IP that is now actually helping the country to grow. So there is no magic solution. It comes through capital development, human capital development.
And for Thailand, what do you see the path for Thailand that you would recommend for the country to go forward?
Well, Thailand is doing very well. I mean, it has emerged. I've been here so many times before, and every time I come, I see good things happening in the country. Thailand's agriculture has remained agricultural for a long time, and I think nearly 60% of the economy is driven through agriculture. It's a fantastic area to be in, because when you talk about food security, we in Mauritius, we import rice, for example, from Thailand. And so through agriculture, many innovation work can happen. And I know Thailand is also very strong in the well-being sector. Herbal medicine is very present. So all these are very, very good products to offer the world. So Thailand is doing extremely well. And I know in terms of new technologies, things are happening. You are in a geographic environment where you'll have many good neighbors who can also promote this kind of exchange. So with the neighbors, Thailand, Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, you already have a captive regional market to export your products. So if only for this is a huge comparative advantage that Thailand has.
Back to the issue of women in politics, I really see how your energy is really keep moving forward, having strong momentum. What
Yes.
keeps you going every day?
What keeps me going every day, what has kept me going for the past years, is the notion of excellence, a job well done. If it's worth doing, it's worth doing well, and notion of quality. And for me, these have been the major drivers, and pushing through for excellence all the time. And in whatever position you are, you have to drive for excellence.
Have you got any mentor, or who are your supporters when you are having difficult time? Who are you talking with?
So far, this situation has not arisen. I have a good dialogue with the Prime Minister, and so whenever I have a concern, I express that to him. And so together we have a good dialogue, and this has been going on. Now, while I was a scientist, of course there are many mentors when you're in the sciences, people you can turn to who can advise you. So I have developed these mentors throughout the world, and I have worked a lot with the United States, African institution, European, Asian, even Australian. So it all depends on the field of study and who you have empathy with and you can trust. And there have been many people who have helped me all along.
In the world of politics, people tend to compare that it's like dark world, and to compare with science, probably it would be very much different. Do you feel vulnerable to be working in politics and to have to play along with the politics in the political world?
No, not really. It's a different area, and I feel that if you set yourself goals and if you work toward those goals, if you do it, as I said earlier on, with sincerity and honesty and through hard work, you'll get recognized for that. And unfortunately, many politicians across the world perhaps have not been able to deliver on the promises made, and this is why people have lost faith. But I intend to do things my way, differently, but we'll see the results at the end of the mandate.
Normally, people tend to say that women who can come forward to be at the leading position has to be very bossy.
Yes.
Do you have to be like that?
I wouldn't say you need to be bossy. I would say you need to be firm. And when you want something done, you have to put the framework that the delays are respected, and just be firm. There's no need to be bossy, because very bossy, there's got a negative connotation to it. But you don't have to drag people through the mud to get things happen. You have to do it through dialogue, but a lot of firmness to know that you mean business.
Looking around the world now, you see increasing number of women leaders in the world. The latest one is Aung San Suu Kyi. She just won
Yes.
with landslide election in Myanmar, and perhaps we're gonna have Hillary Clinton
Yes.
as the president of United States. With having women in the front rows like this,
Yes.
how do you see the world of having women leadership? Should women leaders do something differently?
Yes, women leaders do things differently. Because we are mothers, we are women, we tend to approach this leadership position in a different way to men. But I still believe we still need the complementarity between men and women. And that's one of the reasons why there is a lot of insistence on getting women on boards. Because women view things differently, women do things differently. But when we are complementary with men, much more can be done.
Do you really believe that women have to fight for equality, gender equality, or we just have to do it naturally?
Well, gender equality has been a hard fight, and we've seen that, for example, to get the vote was not easy. So for the emancipation of women, be it for the vote, be it for anything else, it has been a fight. There has been a fight because we still live in a very patriarchal society. But I think through education, we can make things happen much more smoothly and much more a lot easier, because when women and men are educated, you can sit down around a table and discuss and talk without having to resort to violence, which doesn't lead anywhere. So through dialogue and through education, you can really make a difference.
Do you see that it's really important for having quota for women to participate more as women as politicians or women in the parliament?
You know, if you have the laws in the country which is very pro-women, you will not need to look at quotas, because the laws will ensure that the parties adhere to the parity for women representation. But if these laws are not present and there is no need, there is no, not need, but there is no will from the men to incorporate, to put women on board, then you need some form of quota to ensure that there is a presence of women, be it in politics, be it everywhere else. But if the laws had been there very strong and done all that has to be done in terms of addressing the numbers for women, then unfortunately you still need a system quota.
What do you like Mauritian women do more for themselves in the future?
For Mauritian women, I would invite them and I would advise them to be more financially independent. And financial independence is key if you're talking about women emancipation. And whenever couples fight, usually it's about money. So if you are financially secure and financially independent, you can have your say and you can be firmer and you can also provide for the family. So you need to have this financial independence, very important.
Thank you very much, President. ขอบคุณค่ะ
Thank you very much.
เป็นมุมมองจากประธานาธิบดีสาธารณรัฐมอริเชียสนะคะถึงแนวทางในการทำงานในฐานะที่เป็นผู้นำทางการเมืองที่เป็นนักวิทยาศาสตร์ชั้นนำและขณะนี้บทบาททั้งสองเรื่องก็สามารถที่จะนำมาประยุกต์นะคะในฐานะที่เป็นประธานาธิบดีแห่งสาธารณรัฐมอริเชียสซึ่งได้กลายเป็นต้นแบบสำหรับเยาวชนผู้หญิงในประเทศและแนวทางในการพัฒนาทางวิทยาศาสตร์ก็เป็นแนวทางที่ต้องการที่จะเดินหน้าต่อนะคะเพื่อนำพาประเทศไปสู่การพัฒนาอย่างยั่งยืนและทั้งหมดคือตอบโจทย์และที่นี่ไทย PBS สำหรับคืนนี้ค่ะดิฉันณัฐฐา โกมลวาทินสวัสดีค่ะ